I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the November 10th County Commission meeting. I'd remind you to silence your cell phones. The meeting documents are on the end of the counter next to Commissioner Bender. And Robert would have listening devices for you if you need them, and he's in the front. That will move on to routine business. Item number 1 is consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 2 is approve the County Commission meetings from November 3rd, 2015. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 3 is bills to be paid in the amount of $465,579.99. Is there a motion?
Pay the bills.
Second.
Second.
Is there a comment?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Barth.
Today's bills include a single item of $235,000 for equipment purchase in the Highway Department.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second on the bills. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4 are reports. Item A is the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Report from October 2015. Item B is the Auditor's account for the Treasurer's Office as of October 31st, 2015, and those are on file at the Auditor's Office. Item number 5 is personnel action. Item A is consider a motion to approve routine personnel action.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve routine action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 6 is application for abatements. There are none. Item number 7 is notices and requests. There are none. Item number 8 is planning and zoning notices. There are none. Item number 9 is petition for compromise of lien. There are none.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next is opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone here that would like to speak on the and talk about anything that's not on the agenda, this would be your time. So, yep. You want to just come up and give your name and your address?
Good morning. My name's Brian Maher. My address is 7516 West 15th Street here in Sioux Falls. And I'm here as the superintendent of the Sioux Falls School District to just say good morning, hello, and thank you. I've had an opportunity to meet a couple of you, but I wanted to just be here to represent the partnership that exists between the school district and the county. I'm a little out of breath. I rushed here from a Forward Sioux Falls meeting this morning, and the only reason I bring that up is I think it's indicative of what I've seen in the city and in the region since I've moved to South Dakota, and that's the partnerships that exist. And really, I'm just here to say thank you. I work, in my work, I've had an opportunity to be to meetings with several of you in this room, but also as we work through emergency procedures as a school district, and the closeness that we work with Minnehaha County and many ventures. I just wanted to say thanks, put a name or a face with the name, and say we're here to help you, just as I know you're here to help us and all of us around. So that's my only purpose here this morning.
Thank you. It's nice to have you come and meet us. Actually, we have met briefly before, and I think I can speak for all of us saying we are anxious to start working with the school district in more ways, and we have. We have been working in the past with them, and just to continue to build our relationship with us. And welcome to Sioux Falls.
Right. It's nice to be here when there aren't any issues.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
This isn't normal.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Thank you.
Good morning.
I asked Superintendent, this Mark Lee with the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. I asked Superintendent Maher to team me up here on the Forward Sioux Falls thing, so appreciate that. We just did leave the breakfast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some materials with Robert regarding the 2021 campaign. They are literally hot off the press as of yesterday. So this is kind of the first public unveiling of what the initiatives for Forward Sioux Falls will be in this next campaign. You won't be surprised to know that a major emphasis will be on workforce development, attraction, and retention. That's a major focus of this campaign, as is the development of Foundation Park, just north of I-90, and the exciting prospects for the development of the University of South Dakota Discovery District and the research and entrepreneurial aspects of that could really support and help us grow this community in another way, as research and medical services continues to be such a strong pillar of our economy. So that is for your information. Clearly, all of us at the Chamber or the Development Foundation are available to you at any time you want to talk about any of the programs that are proposed or anything about Forward Sioux Falls. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? All right, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, with that, we'll move on to regular business. Item number 10 is authorize the chairman to sign a permanent private utility easement between Minnehaha County and SDN Communications across the W.H. Lyons Fairground. Robert Wilson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Wilson with the Commission Office. Back in April, you considered easement on the fairgrounds property for SDN Communications as they were working with Verizon Wireless to improve cell coverage around the city, and this provided for additional towers and then also connection to their fiber optic line. And as I'm chatting with you, I should bring that up so you can see what I'm talking about. Our issue today that we're coming forward with is related to that project, and it is an extension of the easement that was granted in April, and this will allow them to provide a power source to the connections that were provided for in the easement back in April. And this is a little bit of a tight view of it, but what's in red is what's being requested today. As I pull out a little bit, this is the area in yellow was the easement that was approved in April that provided for the 2 tower locations as well as fiber optic connection to their fiber optic service. And now as we zoom in, this is the area up in red is what is being requested today for the easement. Have reviewed this with Scott Wick out at the fairgrounds, and we have a representative of SDN Communications here today, and I'm sure he could give you some much more specific information of exactly what the request is and the reason for the request, but just would make that introduction that this is a follow-up to what was before you in April. And if you have any questions for me, happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will turn it over to representative from SDN. We spoke several times on the phone, but I don't have your name in front of me, so I apologize.
Any questions for Robert? There are none. Okay. John, if you had anything you wanted to say.
Good morning, guys. My name's John, SDN Communications. Basically just what Robert said there, and I'm here to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Can we start with your last name, please?
Mingo.
Mingo. Sorry. Thank you. Any questions for John on this contract? I believe it. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. That was painless.
Thank you.
So thank you. Item number 11 is authorize the chairman to sign professional service agreement for the final design services with Short Elliott Hendrickson Incorporated for replacement of structure number 50284-170. DJ Boothie, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. DJ Boothie, Highway Superintendent. This project is one that we started quite some time ago, and then we executed an agreement for preliminary design for a TS&L project with SEH earlier this year. And we have completed that project, and the proposed structure is a approximately 300-foot long pre-stressed girder concrete bridge, and at a total cost of probably about $2.3 million for construction. This project is one that we've been working with the state and preparing a proposal for a bridge improvement grant that we hope to qualify for and use that for the construction portion. A big part of the application process for that is how we are preparing to complete the project, and we want to be able to say that we're already mostly done with final design when we submit our application, and that's what this agreement is for today. To begin that final design process. We have a proposed bid letting date for March, middle March of 2016 for a 2016 construction project, and a lot of that, the phasing or the calendar will kind of depend on how that grant ends up coming through and the schedule for that. So that's kind of a soft date right now. It's not a real hard date, but that's what SEH has proposed, and they will be able to meet that. And so if you have any questions specific to the bridge or the final design for the bridge, I can answer them now or stand by for any other questions.
Okay. Is there any questions for DJ? Commissioner Kelly.
Couple questions, DJ. If we are not successful in getting the grant, this will just sit on the table for a year?
Correct. Yep. This contract that we're looking at today will be to complete the final design. We'll have a final set of plans that will basically set on the shelf, reapply for the grant next year, and once we receive that grant, then we'll move forward with bid letting.
And this piece is not within the city limits of Brandon?
No, it immediately abuts the city limits of Brandon. It will be annexed in the future, probably the near future, in the next couple of years, I would guess. But right now, it's outside of the city limits. We've been working and coordinating with the city of Brandon, and what we would like to do is when they do annex this, be able to provide them a bridge that's in good working order and will be useful for them for a good long time.
Thank you.
Any other questions for DJ? Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the final design. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 12 is consider a motion to authorize the chairman, auditor, and emergency management director to enter into an agreement with the South Dakota Department of Health for Minnehaha County to purchase one portable x-ray machine, accessories, and software. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lynn DeYoung, Emergency Management. In front of you, you have a grant agreement with the South Dakota Department of Health for $15,000 to purchase the forensic dental x-ray machine to be used in the event of a mass fatality event within the state of South Dakota. And as you recall, we've been working with the state of South Dakota, Dr. Snell, and the Department of Health to really fulfill a federal requirement for this process of fatality management within South Dakota. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on this purchase or on the grant, but I would request that the Commission authorize appropriate signatures for this grant with the State Department of Health.
So any questions for Lynn?
Madam Chair.
Garth?
I do support this. Lynn, is there other equipment that we are lacking that we're going to need to have at some point here?
Yeah, there are, as we go along, the county isn't putting dollars in, so we have to kind of wait for those grant cycles to go.
Okay.
We have a planning committee with, of course, Dr. Snell, myself, members of the State Department of Health, Sioux Falls PD, the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office, other agencies, and we get together on a regular kind of 6 weeks to 2 months process and really look at what's evolving, what instances are out there, and what equipment would be next up online, and then what training would go with it. So as we move forward, there will be other grant dollars that come in for the support of this project and other equipment to be purchased.
I guess I'm wondering if there's specific equipment that we are going to need that...
Dr. Snell would like a portable x-ray machine for more than just the dental comparisons and everything, and so that would probably be next on the list, but those are those are expensive. So the trick is identifying funding cycles so that it's not the county going out and doing this, it's the county being the fiduciary agent for the state of South Dakota, because when it's really said and done, this is fatality management is a state responsibility put to them by the federal government in the National Response Plan, but because of the way the coroner laws are and the medical examiner laws are in the state of South Dakota, Minnehaha counties and Dr. Snell are the only ones that can fill that responsibility. So that's why you see the federal grant dollars coming to the state and then subsequently coming to the county.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Kelly?
This is available. This is all East River. Is that what this trailer covers? Or
what we're really doing is building a statewide process or a statewide capability, because Rapid City does have a forensic pathologist there that they're contracted with, Dr. Hobby. So as a contractor, which is similar to the agreement that the county had with Dr. Randall before Dr. Snell came, we've decided the best thing to do would be to make it available statewide. And then any event that we would have out there, both of those physicians, Dr. Snell and Dr. Hobby, would most likely work together. So there are other assets on the west side of the state that we could bring in or would bring in depending on the situation that we
They don't have a
facing.
trailer out there, though.
They do have a different trailer. Their trailer is more for the for keeping decedents cool from the time of incident until the time of autopsy and then release. So that if that trailer was unfortunately used a couple weeks ago with an incident within southeast South Dakota, and because of timing, that was brought to this part of the state and then subsequently used and then brought up here. We need to do some adjustments because this is one of those things that typically you don't want to have to do a lot, but when you do, it needs to work right. We found a couple things that we can improve upon on the next time that it happens, and we're going to make those, once again, improvements with grant money provided by the state of South Dakota.
And do we just provide, excuse me, Mayor, do we just provide the trailer then, or is there...
So, I mean, it all depends on the situation, and what we've really done is taken the opportunity that if our county or any community in the state of South Dakota is presented with an unfortunate situation such as that, once all the things are done on the front side of that incident as far as rescuing the people that need to be rescued, we've really taken all right, we have plenty of time to do this right, let's back off and think about it so that we do it right the first time and we don't make mistakes going forward. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but all of the equipment is basically a statewide asset to be used in the event of a fatality management event needs to be managed by the state of South Dakota with assistance from Minnehaha County.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to enter into agreement with the South Dakota Department of Health and Minnehaha County. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously. Thank you, Lynn. Item number 13 is I authorize the chairman to sign the 2016 agreement for the animal control services between Minnehaha County and the Sioux Falls Humane Society. Robert Wilson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Wilson again with the Commission Office. This agreement is going to look very similar to the agreements with for animal control services in the past. The amount for 2016 is the same amount as 2015, $47,000. The way this contract is structured is there is a set payment, monthly payment to the Humane Society from the county for just over $3,000, yearly total of $36,000 as a base payment, and then in addition to that, they are paid an hourly rate for after-hours emergency calls that they respond to in the county, as well as mileage and fees associated with that. Once the expenditures reach 80% of the total amount of the contract, there's a provision for us to get together and see if there's any way to appropriately curtail services to remain in budget, or if a supplement is likely through the rest of the year, but we have not needed to utilize that in recent years, and it has been a very good partnership. I've spoken with Corey Beatty, Executive Director at the Humane Society. They're happy with the agreement, and we bring this forward for your consideration. Any questions?
Are there any questions on the Humane Society contract? Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 14 is Minnehaha County Commission liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Barth.
we had a museum board meeting and a presentation by Candy Hansen, former commissioner, about fundraising and looking at working to improve the endowment that we have at the museum. I also, again, suggested that they acquire the flag recently swiped from Pier as a display item for our museum, since I'm sure many people would like to come and see it at our museum.
Any other liaison reports? Is there any new business?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Barth?
I attended a hearing down in Parker of their planning commission where they were discussing some pretty comprehensive revisions to their planning ordinances, and there were in excess of 130 people there, and the courtroom that we were in only could hold about 80, and so there was overflow into the hall. I got there early enough to sit in there. But Scott Anderson went with me, and I think we came up with a number of constructive ideas that we can use should we ever be faced with a major project like that might make it easier dealing with the public. This was sort of presented as a fully formed ordinance to the public there, and it caused lots of concern and questions. And their infrastructure wasn't as good as I might have wanted. They had one microphone for all 5 members of the planning commission, so sometimes their answers were not audible. And anyway, Scott and I learned, and hopefully can improve the process if it ever comes here.
What was the result of the meeting?
The meeting, they're going to vote on it today. They met for 2.5 hours and adjourned with no decision, and certainly a lot of the questions weren't really answered. And I think one of the things that I think it would be better to take input in advance of the fully formed ordinance instead of trying to answer questions after it's presented. I mean, if people have a chance to do input during the process of revising it, I think it would work better than having people question, well, why did you take out this word on section E or whatever? And that's where they were at.
Commissioner Kelly?
This basically was talking about setback requirements, wasn't it?
It was, but there
how
was
does that compare to what we have? I thought you told me one day that you got to be like 30 miles away or something.
Right. They were talking about a maximum setback, I think, of 2 miles. But there was another part of the ordinance that got no comment whatsoever, which was where they were going to add 2 building eligibilities to every quarter section. Nobody made a comment about that. And to me, that's an incredibly large change. I mean, on the other hand, maybe no one wants to live in Turner County. Sorry, Turner County, I'm just kidding.
But how does that compare to what our ordinances are, do you know?
Well, we also have 2 per section now.
No, not the building eligible.
Well, we have a variable one where, depending on the size of your animal operation, it might be further away. And that's not to say that you couldn't build one, but you would have to get more agreement from the neighbors, etc. And or demonstrate that your technology was improved. I think ours were last revised in 1999, and in talking to a Lincoln County commissioner, they're actually about to come forward with big revisions on their planning and zoning. I don't know the details on that. And again, I must say that I thought people were very courteous, very civil down there in Parker. Opponents, proponents nobody said anything bad about each other. And it's not always been that way in our hearings, in my view. But
any other questions? Any other liaison reports? Is there any new business? I just would like to point out, if you've looked at your accounting for this month, that the courts system is out of money, and that we will be doing a supplement to the budget at the end of the year to cover costs in the courts. And so just when you're reviewing your accounting papers. So,
Madam Chair, that's a very good point. And whatever number we put in for the courts is really just a guesstimate, and in effect they have a blank check that they can draw upon the taxpayers in Minnehaha County and spend whatever they determine is needed.
Is there any old business? With that, I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn into
personnel.
executive session for personnel.
My motion. Thank you.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.
Thank you.